Hello and welcome. This is another episode of Make It Happen, a podcast by Wahido Marata. Welcome to Make It Happen. I'm Wahido Marata, a certified life coach committed to helping entrepreneurs excel in life through mindset acceleration. In each episode, we'll explore a topic related to mindset and share tips and tools that can help you rebrand, revive, and realize your fullest potential. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Hello, Colleen. How are you today?
I'm so good. How are you doing?
Very good, very good. Very hot here in the southern parts of Europe where I'm located at the moment, Portugal. And I know that you are in Arizona. Is that correct?
Yep, currently in Arizona, yes.
Colleen, it's a pleasure to speak to you.
You too, and it's so amazing.
Thank you very much. I would just like to let our listeners know a little bit about you. And from what I've found out, you are the CEO of Colleen Gallagher International, which is headquartered 100% online, which is very interesting. She is the creator, businesswoman, mentor, coach, consultant, speaker, author, cancer survivor, which I'm very keen to know what happened in this aspect, because I've been working actually with many people that are going through cancer, chemotherapy, and are also survivors. World traveler, enthusiastic about life, millennial, and an expert in evolutionary transformation. Welcome to Make It Happen, our podcasts. And could you let us know about you, a little bit more about your background, and tell us how you came to be the person that you are today?
Yeah, I love that question and such a good introduction. And just again, so honored to be co-creating in this space. So my background is I'm originally from Michigan in the US, and I've always traveled. So I think it's like close to 35 countries now, 28 of the 50 states. So I'm all about immersing myself in cultures and really understanding the evolution of humanity and how humans like to experience life. And from that place, I got a undergrad degree in business, so in marketing. I've worked for a $23 billion company. I then also moved internationally, working for a $400 million company. And then I've opened Colleen Gallagher International, completely helping people stand in their truth, restore to their natural light that they carry, and caring more about the human economy than the business economy. And I feel it's a really great connector and bridge that I get to be in this space that allows people to see in the online space how we can interact with our clients, how we can interact with our employees, and how we can connect to a vision at a greater sense to allow this to come through, to activate transformations, and to allow people to really be emotionally connected and invested in their truth. And I feel that's the beauty in the world that we're living in. And that's like the truth that everyone has available to them right now if they choose.
So can you pinpoint the moment where you had this inspiration to start your company?
Yeah, so I was traveling over the US, and I was with my job, and I was a sales engineer. I was like, I'm going to be this woman in this male dominated field. Let's go. I'm 22 or 23. And I was sitting there in my apartment, and I was totally unhappy. I was in an emotionally abusive situation. I was just chasing money to have more and more success. And it was getting there. I was climbing the corporate ladder, but I came home one day and I just started bawling. And I was like, there has to be more to this. This can't be it. And the final trigger is I was at a customer meeting, and it was surrounded with all older men, all talking about just not very good things with their wives or children. And I was just nothing of this is my values. This can't be my environment for the rest of my life. I just know this can't be it. So I looked at visas, and I saw that I could get an international visa for $20. And I said, screw it. I'm quitting my job that's super successful and whatever. And on the thing I go, and I'm just going to follow my truth. From that moment, I knew I wanted to start my own company. I wanted to help people, but I wasn't sure exactly what. And that was the start of Colleen's transformational journey. And it was 300 hours of yoga, meditation, and a new corporate job. And then, finally it came to me. I went to an entrepreneurial retreat in Fiji, and I was there was a sun, and I took a picture of it because I was surrounded by very successful entrepreneurs. And I was like, what am I doing here? I just want to like spread some love in the world. What is going on? And I took a picture, and like the backing of the sun was like a heart. And I was like, this is it. I've got to figure this out. So I quit my job with $5,000 in my bank account to then figure out a way to empower other people to rise up and live with fulfillment, purpose, truth, love. And it's only expanded from there. And that was January 2018.
Wow, wonderful. And so you have been having 8 intense months, or everything has been flowing, and can you share with us how it has been for the past months?
So initially when I started, I was working with a digital strategist, and it was, I feel like most business or entrepreneurs, like the thing that you get so caught up in is like, what are my funnels converting at? Like, what's my email list? And you're like so stressed because all of the things like come and you're like, oh my God, what do I do? And so I was like super stressed out, and I was like traveling all over the world and came out with my book, and I was like this thing, but it was like, oh my God, it was so awful. Like it was like super stressful doing like qualifying calls or whatever. Like I don't even do that anymore, but it's like, there was a moment when I invested heavily in a new mentor, and I was like, wow, this all gets to be so easy. We get to do things that feel good. When we come from a place of what feels good, everything manifests at like quantum leaps around you and the employees, your clients. So that was like the space when I was like, wow, like just do what feels good instead of forcing these results. That's like a very business programming I've had put upon me. And so it's, like I said, kind of really the connector of that business mind, that ambition, the masculine to really go with that feminine flow in a way that gets to be creative and fun. And like, that is when it's been able to have the most fun with Colleen Gallagher International, with like our employees, with our clients. And I feel that's like the transformations that are occurring lately. It's been something I've never seen in all of the work that I've done. So it's just like when you act from that place, it allows other people to transform at higher places too.
Definitely. So I'm glad to hear that, because it shows that things are flowing, and that's the most important thing, of course. And everything is a reflection of how we feel inside. So I'm sure that transformation is happening, and I'm very happy to hear that. And I'm just wondering, your physical challenges happened recently, or was this something that happened already a long time ago? Would you even like to speak about it? I'm not sure how sensitive.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. So I had cancer at the age of 14.
Wow.
And so it was thyroid cancer. I still have a scar on my neck, but what happened is there was a moment in time when I was at a doctor's office, and a dad yelled at a mom, stating that the only reason they were in this reason to not pay for her treatments is because she was a stay-at-home mom. So I was with another little girl, and so what imprinted on me, and I didn't find this out much later until I did like 300 hours of meditation in New Zealand, but what imprinted was that I thought I had to have money to have love, and I had to have money to super be successful. So I was always this corporate business girl at a really young age, because I thought that money would manifest everything instead of doing what you actually love to manifest everything. So that was like kind of the long journey, that the suppression of your soul and the suppression of your truth, believing that you have to follow a certain path or the status quo, instead of what I say is like being a conscious rebel to really rise up and impact humanity through your truth. And that's like the shift, and we're always shifting to greater depths, but from that young of an age, that was like a big suppression, and lots of stories I went through with that.
That must have been a really big awakening at such a young age, right?
Yeah. Definitely. And there's like in my first book, I write about some of the comments that were said, and like how people would say things. So I remember there was like one guy who said, he like asked me if I tried to kill myself. There was one guy who said like, did you get choked out when you were having sex? Like, you're like 17 years old. Like, you have no idea what these, like, you don't even comprehend totally. And I talk about how all that led to this anger of not understanding and like separation with people. And now in a wholehearted place, I look at that was the cry for connection. So it's like coming back to this place of every mean thing or everything things that are said, it's like a cry that someone wants to connect with you, but they don't know how. So they're just doing that. And like how when we come back to love, when we come back to center, truth, evolutionary leadership, like human experience, human economy, we really can start to shift this and have a better way to play with it. To just live our passion, but also impact the other way people are experience life through our gifts.
Yes, definitely. And you mentioned a book. Does that mean that you're writing a book at the moment?
Yeah, I'm writing my next book. So my first book was Live Your Truth. That came out on February 9th. My next book, it's going to come out before the end of the year. I don't have a date yet, but it's soon.
Would you like to let us know a little bit about it?
Yeah. It's called Evolutionary Leadership. So it's the 4 steps on the willingness to look at things differently, the willingness to shift your mindset from logic and business to intuitive, collaborative, and really just going deeper into, like I said, caring more about the human economy than the business economy. Because when you do that naturally at accelerated rates, everything else manifests. So just going deep into individuals that are kind of like going to entrepreneur to CEOs, or CEOs who are looking to increase connectivity between different silos in their organizations or different businesses, looking at how we can do that to impact the human experience. It's really the evolutionary leader truth is I care more about the human experience, and at the level I'm functioning, how I can transform this to allow others to co-create with their truth.
So could we explore a little bit about this human economy? Yeah. I find it quite intriguing, and I never heard of it. So maybe our listeners have not heard it either. Would you like to explain a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so let's say like a business economy would be like you're in a business, you have goals, you're very about like the bottom line, what are the new product line structures, what are the competition or competitive edge we have. A human economy is going, all right, what are we doing to allow people to stand in their creatorness or their creativeness in this? What are we doing to allow people to have visions, to work on projects, to work on collaboration, to allow cross-functional, let's say, teams to be more, let's have a cross-functional project. We all get a say, and that's measured in a much different way. So another good example I say of this is like currently a lot of corporations, which are amazing. They have so many phenomenal resources. There's really this opportunity of like, we say as a big company, we give X amount of money to this charity. Well, what if you broke it down into sales territories, manufacturing territories? I say, and if you make this X amount of money, or we do this, we improve this, we will donate to a local charity. We can donate to a local family. We're creating in a way that's allowing people to see the direct impact and feel that this money that they're making is actually to a benefit they can touch, they can see. And so that's caring about the human economy, because you're allowing people to have purpose. You're allowing people to be emotional instead of becoming machines and manufactured and distortions. So that's kind of the shift.
Wonderful.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. I mean, empowering people to be their best selves is basically my goal. And, I believe that many people like me and you are awakening to sharing a message which is not focused on making sales or making money or making an imprint in the economy as it is at the moment, but more to do with human values and changing mindsets rather than changing bank accounts, sort of speaking.
Exactly. And when you change your mindset, like naturally your bank account changes. Like, and some people are like, oh, that's so woo-woo, that's so this. But when you really understand manifestation at a deep level, manifestation is you're always already acting from that place. You're already always acting from your highest version. So like I said, like no longer entrepreneur, but CEO. Like even all the employees that we have with Colleen Gallagher International, I say, you all are CEOs in your thing. Like, I want you to be CEOs of your own, whatever it is. Like, it's that way of coming from that place. If it's you were a CEO, if you are a CEO, how would you be acting? How would you be talking? How would you be thinking? Like, you wouldn't be caring about yourself. CEO is about the vision for others, and that's empowering your vision to come to life through resources that are co-created. So that's the shift. And that's when you get that on a deep level. That's when things happen automatically with clients not reaching out to you, you not having to reach out to clients, like they're automatically coming to you, and like employees even, I feel like people will naturally be like, oh my God, I have to work for this company because I'm so passionate about that, or resources show up, or it's like you capture all the things just by acting from that place because people want that energy.
Definitely. And there's two factors that I see very, very easily that many people actually don't refer to, but we are in an era that, for instance, my parents don't really understand how can you be your own CEO and how can you thrive by being 100% online like you. Mm-hmm. They still see like companies as the main vehicle to earn money. So you have to get a degree, you have to work for a company, and then go up the ladder. And that's a big factor nowadays. You know, the younger generations, you know, like, you know, my children, for instance, they have a different mentality, because I already have a different mentality. But my parents, for instance, they don't see this. And the other thing is, I don't know if you know Rory Vaden, but he's a brand strategist, and he empowers people, and he empowers people that want to create brands and build solid reputation, for instance. But he's one of my mentors, and the thing is, he speaks about the company of the future being around a person. And so it's not even a company, it's a brand. And so you create the brand around who you are. And this is, I believe, more or less what you're saying, right?
Yeah. And I feel too, when you look at a lot of the statistics, so like contract work, or like not working full time, like having multiple jobs, is going to be increasing because everyone's an expert in something. So let's say the brand, it's like be your brand, or you have individuals, but it's like, I see it as a circle, like the hierarchies are done. It's like you have a vision, and in the center of that is like with ours, it's like a heart and love and empowering people, but you just have connected dots around it. But each of you are working towards that vision. There is no like hierarchy in the way of like middle management and this. It's in a way of co-creation, but there could be one person that does funnels, or there's one person that does design work, and we could doing multiple brands that have similar visions, but they're getting that in a connective way, which also opens up opportunities and also opens up co-creation for allowing brands to come together. So that's why I said kind of like the business economy, when people are like, there's a competitive edge, like the competitive edge is done. Like there is no competitive edge. Like you tell stories, and that story allows people to relate with you, allows people to see that they can trust you. But there's no double story, you know, like there's someone that has maybe two situations happen to the same person, but they're going to tell it totally differently, and their energy is totally differently. So it's like you're in a place where you're just getting energy now. It's like you're putting energy out there to receive it back. And that's where I see the world going, and in that way and in that function. But there's a lot of shifts and mindsets that happen instead of from scarcity and abundance, because like you said, the older generation maybe is like, oh my God, I can't put my credit card online, or I can't do this. And people are like, oh, my credit card's stored on like 50 sites, no big deal. Like, but it's the fact that there's a level of, I was saying it's kind of like a home, like this digital era is like a home. Before, it's like they have their social security cards, their credit cards in their home, or maybe multiple places, and that felt safe. Like to us, we're like, well, this feels safe. We don't know any different, but it's allowing that gap to be closed and seeing the similarities instead of putting the separation.
Definitely. Yeah. And many times I give examples of people that were successful in their own ways, that the focus was never how to make money or how to be successful in the economy of the present moment. And people like Steve Jobs, like Gandhi, or even Mother Teresa, they were so successful. And they were successful because they had one thing in mind, is how can they become the best selves, the best selves for the world, and share that message with others so that they can become the best selves of themselves. Makes sense. And so that's basically what I feel is happening more and more with individuals that don't have an Apple company to put forth or to make successful, or not have a vision or whatever Gandhi and Mother Teresa created, but they have their own vision, and perhaps in a smaller scale, or perhaps in a bigger scale, who knows? But I feel that's more and more the energy that is being felt on the earth.
Yeah, definitely. And like even scientifically, there's things that are like going on right now with like frequencies and expansion, but it's the false illusion that people have been put upon them. Like even with my business things of like, you have to do this to get money, to be successful, to have this life. But reality is you just have to be yourself, just restoring yourself to your natural truth and living from that place. And when that place comes, so liberating, so free. And I mean, you have goals with money, you have your outcomes of how it's going to come to you, but you're totally unattached from it because you're acting from that place of, I know this is already done, this is already manifesting, I'm already innovate more.
Yes, definitely. And for me, the word that I see most connected to what you're saying is empowerment. I feel that people are feeling so empowered to actually go forth and put their message out without fear, without doubt. And, that comes with a lot of awareness also. but the courage to change your mindset and to consistently make it happen.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's definitely a choice. And I feel like sometimes people can be like, oh, it's so far out there. Like she or he, just had the courage. I don't have that. And it's like, just to remember you're fully supported in the process the whole time. Like there's so many amazing support systems, like so many amazing mentors who are willing to be there and give generously. But the thing is people have to realize that they have to be willing to give generously to themselves. When you give genuinely and generously to yourself, that is when full support of the fear, the doubt, the whatever, like it just fades away because you're so supported. It would be impossible for you to not achieve. Impossible. And that's like what I feel is the big illusion again that comes in of like, oh, I'm fearful, or I don't have enough, or I don't have this. And it's like, you already have everything you need. Everything is already enough. It's just choosing to let yourself live into that and be supported.
Yes. And, many people, especially entrepreneurs, what happens is that things don't happen sometimes at the pace that they would like. And so many of them quit. And, by choice, either consciously or unconsciously, they choose something which is not really fulfilling their heart's aspirations. But, it's like everything in life. I believe everything is perfect, and everyone has their own place on earth at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah. And I like that too, because I feel like one thing I just wrote this actually recently is saying that I love failure more than I love success, because I know every 3 failures leads to a next great success. And, even if you look at Jeff Bezos or look at Mark Zuckerberg, who just lost $15 billion, I know to him that's maybe like $20, $100, $1,000 to the average person. But that's a huge thing. But is he going to resign? Is he going to stop? Is he going to do that? No, but that's the thing is just because it's not always transparent, it's not always showed. There's way more failures every single day than there is success, but those failures allow that huge success to happen.
Exactly. I love what you're saying, really. And one thing that I wanted to ask you is about the pathway of evolutionary leadership by the expansion coaching method. Would you like to tell me a bit more about it, or a lot more about it?
Yeah, so it's so amazing. This is like with the next book and releasing it, which is extraordinary. So there's really 4 steps to the evolutionary leader, which is amazing. And it's really the first is always just the willingness to look at things differently. And if you're not willing to look at things differently, then most likely the success or the things that you're looking for in your life aren't going to be able to manifest as quickly, because you're staying in your comfort, you're staying with the same. So with that, the first part is the evolutionary lens. So it's really looking at how you can shift your perspective. It's really allowing others to come in and allow you to maybe see some spots you can't see, and then creating an awareness around that. And then from that, once you have a new perspective, a new lens, new ideas, you can create an evolving brand. And with that, that's something that's always sustainable. It's ongoing. It has different entry points for people to come into and co-create with you. And it's something that's sustainable. So as you're growing, it naturally keeps on going instead of having to redo quarterly plans or new things. So that would be the second part. And then evolving movement. So once you have the lens, a brand, you create a movement, which is with the vision, or kind of an example I gave is putting down to sales or product teams, our middle management, feeling that they are contributing to a local movement or something that they care about to be more emotionally connected in their work. And then from that space, you become an evolving leader, and you keep repeating it over and over and going deeper and deeper into the work.
Wonderful. And where did all the inspiration for this came from? Besides, of course, everything else that you said, was there something special that made you feel that those words, the keywords that you used for the title, etc., came from?
Yeah, I feel like like I said, it was just I really see it as a connector, a bridge between the big corporations who have amazing resources, and then the entrepreneurs, where it's kind of caused a separation. I believe in oneness so much. So I see a huge opportunity and a huge bridge to connect this, and a huge bridge for the entrepreneurs to step into CEOs to be thinking this way. And instead of the fearful of I only have $500, I don't know how I'm getting my clients, or whatever it is, okay, let's act from a place of you're a CEO. let's act from this place and now let's create. And just shifting that. And then from the people that are already in organizations, like, let's shift to dynamic freedom. Let's shift to creativity. Let's shift to human experience. Like, let's connect this. Let's be a bridge. It doesn't have to be separate. So I think with all of my traveling and just really seeing the human experience and what everywhere I've been, what we all have in common is that we all want to be seen, we all want to be loved, and we all want to love. Those are what it comes down to. And so from that place, that's really where this became clear. It's just evolving your lens of people acting in ways to be seen through different mechanisms or different beauties, but that's the truth of it. And then from that, create a brand. From that, create a movement. From that, now you have an evolutionary leader who's willing to see things differently, who's willing to expand on this, who's willing to commit to their vision more than they're willing to commit to the fear.
Mm-hmm. So this is a coaching method that you use, that you developed, and you offer this to your clients, which are not only individuals, but companies?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's like the pathway to the evolutionary leader. And then I do that, the divine expansive coaching method, which there's 4 steps to that. And so when you go through that, it's just identifying separations with the evolutionary lens of how you're looking. Where is the illusion of fear, scarcity? Where could there be more connectivity? And then once you identify it, where can we close the gap on that to allow greater impact to occur? And then raising your voice to make impact and showing up in that place, and then taking aligned action. And from that, you go into that with each of the steps of like the evolutionary lens, the brand, and then the movement, because those are all ways that you coexist together and allowing people to step up to be evolutionary leaders to allow this to go on.
Definitely. And is there any other programs that you offer or services that you have?
Yeah, I have a lot of programs. But I have my first retreat coming up in Sedona, Arizona, which is exciting, which goes with this. It's called Expand Your Light. I have my first program, which was Live the Impossible, which is with my first book. I have like a 30-day accelerator program for manifestation. I have lots. I guess it's take your pick. Really, it's what you're looking for, but it's really been extraordinary. But working one-on-one privately with me now, we take applications because we're only looking for top talent that I work with, but there's a lot of resources online we give away, and other products that you're able to look. We have a monthly site as well where I release a monthly fee where I will release weekly videos on tasks you can do. So that's another good way to get access just to the content and to up-leveling your life. So lots of ways, really. Take your pick.
Mm-hmm. So let me know, in terms of the listeners that might not know you, might not know what you do or what kind of benefit or help they can have from you, what would be the keywords that you would use in order to, synthesize the work that you do so that they can actually understand in one of the final notes of this interview?
Yeah, so the final note of really what we do at Colleen Gallagher International is we help impactful leaders become evolutionary leaders that really care about the transmission that the human experience is occurring. And from that place, the results that you see is an impact in abundance, impact in your happiness, impact in your fulfillment, impact in having more businesses, top talent be retained. So it's really moving into that place, like I said, entrepreneur, visionary leader to evolutionary, the place that you're really just at the next, acting from the absolute highest self all the time.
Wonderful. And how can people actually connect to you or find you online?
Yeah, so the best way, I have Instagram, which is Colleen_Gallagher_. I have Facebook, which is /the Colleen Gallagher. And then my personal page is also amazing, Colleen.Gallagher111.
Okay, sounds interesting. One final question. Who is sort of I usually ask this question in 2 ways, but you can choose which way you want to reply to it. Sort of the situation or the person who most inspired you throughout your life so far.
One person that's really inspired me is Nelson Mandela. He is someone who I feel has just done some very extraordinary work, extremely humble. And again, he really was an evolutionary leader, always acting what was best for humanity, even when no one was watching.
I totally agree. I mean, I mentioned Gandhi and Mother Teresa. I think it's an interesting way because I lived in India for a long time and I have a lot of things to do with India, and I'm a vegetarian for 20 years. And Mother Teresa, because I was born in a Catholic environment and was in a private Catholic school, and I think that's why I chose them actually. But definitely Nelson Mandela is someone that I never forget, and actually he, at least here in Portugal, there was a book that was released recently about his letters that he wrote when he was in prison that I'm dying to read, because he so heartfelt and so, I don't know, I don't know, because I haven't read them, but I just have such a strong feeling about them. So yeah, great example. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and it's so great to be on this space and co-create for this, to allow people to see the beauty that is available to them.
Definitely, Colleen, it was a pleasure. I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for bringing out so much new content and different content, and sharing your life and your challenges. I'm really, really grateful, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I would like to invite you to share the podcast with friends and family, individuals seeking more clarity about themselves and their actions. And now it's time to make it happen. See you next time.